Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
It's a 13 for y'all. 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 It's a 13 for y'all.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I am your moderator, Coach K, Morpheus, all the things that they call me that we're not going to cover right now. But today we start a new but sad, it's kind of bittersweet. Our man, the moderator, Brett Jones, is on a sabbatical. Leave of absence.
There we go.
Sabbatical. All right, let's call it that. We don't know. We think he's gone.
He's
onto the
soiling his
mothership.
royal oats.
And well, he's definitely not doing that. He already did that. He already sowed. He's already sown those, and that's part of the reason why he's on a leave. But hey, we miss you, Brett. We can't wait till you get back. But in the meantime, we will hold it down. I am here with my guys today, and we do have a special guest. So now I get to just randomly pick the order because I'm normally called out first because I used to be last, but now I'm going to be first every week. But Faison, welcome this week. What's happening, sir?
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be here. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe and gently tap that like button. I'd appreciate that very much. But all is well. I am happy. It is great. Can't complain.
Nice. And as always, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable, BJ, welcome back to the show. You weren't on last week, were you? Yes, you were.
I don't remember last week, man.
You were here last week.
I don't even remember last week. Well, let's go. We good.
You remember yesterday?
Yes, sir. I remember yesterday. Last week is a ghost. I don't know. We ain't chasing them dreams no more. Living in the future.
Hey, there it is.
All right. And you all hear him in the background, the one, the only, Barry B. Fresh. What's up, Fresh Dente?
You know, another beautiful day out here with the 5 heartbeats, Dog Brett on sabbatical, but we still gonna be all right.
I see that, man. Which am I dresser? Which one am I? I can't tell which one I am. I think
a mustard suit. I couldn't even tell you who everybody was. Yeah.
Robert Townsend's character.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then
I'm gonna go to the
of course, and then of course, Fresh is the one and the only.
Everybody know
Eddie Kane. Yeah, I said Michael. Man, we off. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, yeah. So I'll get back to Fresh Ovation in a second. But we got a special guest this week, and we say special, but it's really interesting because she's our sister. She really is our sister. She's probably spent more time with us as a group than most females have. We are not an easy group to hang around, but somehow she survives, and she keeps us in her thoughts and her prayers. And I tell you what, if something was to happen and I needed to call somebody to make some things happen, I would probably call her because she would make it happen. But this young lady, we're so proud of her, and you all will find out why. But this young lady spent over a decade serving in the nonprofit sector for fundraising and marketing for community-based human service organizations, including Volunteers of America and Boston Neighborhood Network. She has worked for, listen now, various projects. Listen for what I'm about to say. When we bring somebody, we don't bring just anybody, right? So she's worked various projects with the MTV, Russell Simmons, HBO Deaf Poetry, the Major League Baseball Players Trust, and the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. That was just stuff that she was just doing just to figure out what she wanted to do, ladies and gentlemen. With over 20 years in the restaurant and hospitality industry, fate brought her to owning her own restaurant. and she's a restaurateur. If I said that correctly, I don't want to mess it up. In Roxbury, Massachusetts, where she is also a longtime resident. And she's the sole proprietor of Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, which operates as a particularly iconic restaurant and bar with a legacy that dates back to 1957. Never mind what it used to be called back then, because right now it's Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Miss Nia Grace. Nia, what's going on?
Yeah.
Man, that was a really big intro. I appreciate that. It was too much, I'm essentially doing what I love, right? But that's what
We'll let
other
you
people
use it for
wanna
your
hear.
LinkedIn.
Right.
It's like way too much. But
Right.
I
Well,
appreciate
listen,
that, and I'm happy to be here.
is what you sent me. I left out the part that she's our fellow Miami Hurricane. As you all know, our family is extensive, but this one's really close to us. And
I like your shirt, Ann.
Always represent.
right, nice. Thank you for that. So Nia's gonna be with us for the whole show. As I said, she's endured us for many years. And when we're acting up, she's one of the few people that can come and let us know that we're acting up, and we'll actually accept that. So no jokes there. That's all serious. But before we get to that, we're gonna hit you with the Freshovation for the week. Fresh, go ahead and take that thing.
Say word. Definitely in Brett's absence, we're gonna have to work on logistics of how we're game flow. However, as we stand today, and it's a good time to, check this. I choose to forgive everyone for whom I feel less than unconditional love. I choose to see the perfection in everything just the way it is. Higher wisdom express itself daily in all aspects of my life. I let go of the old and make way for the new. I forgive myself and others. I am free. I bless and release all those who have caused me pain. As I forgive, so am I forgiven. How beautiful is that? Too many times we sit and hold on to grudges, to, whatever situations have happened with family, friends, and allow too much time to go in between getting the opportunity to communicate with them, to express your love for them, and to, just let it all go. Stop allowing that to be a hindrance in your life. Live life with love. I think Puffy's been running a true campaign on talking about living with love. He Mr. Love now, but seriously, live your life with love. Stop allowing hate and grudges and all that stuff to control you. That's Freshovation for this week. Unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. So speaking of unconditional love, we're going to jump right into this thing, ladies and gentlemen. So as you know, every fourth week we try to feature a Black business owner, and we thought no greater person than our own sister that we could bring in and talk. And, it's one of those things where we've been trying to make sure that we can make a trip to Boston. And she would love to have us, even though we're going to come in there and we're going to ask for discounts and stuff like that. You know how we do. No, that's not what we would do. We would actually come in and pay and pay well, because we like to support our own. But Nia, so talk to us and tell us what led you to entrepreneurship, right? Like, we gave this long bio, but what even made you decide, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur?
I don't think it was a conscious decision at all. It was kind of an accident. It was kind of a, pressure point more than anything else, where, I was corporate, built for corporate life, and, was excited about spending, at least 3 to 4 years with a particular company and imagining my growth within that company, right? I was satisfied with that. I knew what I was getting. I knew what my 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 was. And I thought, I was really happy with that. And it became a matter of a point of, well, what you're going to do right now. And so I had spent 5 years with Volunteers of America, something that really helped to feed my desire to make sure that I could give back to the community from whence I came, right? You know, I had an opportunity to go and grow and learn more, and then kind of bring my talents back to my neighborhood. And so I had an organization that was able to tap into a lot of the things that were really passionate to me. So youth development and, you know, recovery from addiction. And then, you know, seniors, you know, going into their golden years and how we take care of them. And so literally Volunteers of America was able to give me that opportunity to, you know, kind of fulfill my desire to contribute to my community in that way, as well as, you know, earn a living. From there, I went to Boston Neighborhood Network, and what was really cool about that is it allowed me to use more of my creativity that y'all kind of know me for when it comes to production. And so here I am working for a federally funded, city-backed, nonprofit television station where we have 2 cable channels. We're producing real news throughout our neighborhood and city, things that are not being picked up by NBC and CBS and ABC, things that matter to the inner city that where we're coming from, or just our cultural neighborhoods and backgrounds, right? We're picking up those kind of stories and making them important, as well as teaching and empowering our neighborhoods with community media that we know can shape opinions and elections and income, etc., right? Things that we typically have a gap in accessing. You know, we're working in this space. And so I enjoyed a career there for 5 years, and then I was laid off, and that's real, right? And at some point, the funding becomes scarce or structure becomes different, and things that probably need to be valued or not valued in the same way. And you're faced with, all right, now what do I do? And in that space, I decided to leverage everything that I had learned and processed in the last 15 years, starting at the U, right? You know what I mean? Starting from what we learned in Hurricane Productions or on the rap board or in UBS, especially, right? And taking that skill set and building upon it from what we did immediately post-college, or while we were even still building while we were in college, right? And then saying, this is what I'm about to leverage next. Like, the next thing that I sell to anybody is not my ability to sit in a position and go ahead and check off the boxes for the position that you outlined for me, but in fact to say, these are the skill sets that I have. You're going to hire me based off of this that I can bring to the table. And so I leveraged myself as the brand and started my own consulting agency, which really, by fate, let me here to Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen.
All right, let me start unwrapping that package for you all that she just dropped on you. Right, where am I going to start at? So, you know, you said it was by chance, but really, I think it's your commitment to community and trying to do your part that I think led you down this road. So when we talk about Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, what was the history? What was the thing that was happening with the restaurant and the bar?
So what's so cool to me is, you know, when I got back from school, I came home and I was looking for that third space, that place that I could call home, that rat, that you know, I don't know, iguana cafe, that whatever it is, I wanted to find that third place I was home. But, you know, even more so, I had experienced in Miami and in New York, different places that I could find people who looked like me, who understood my culture, who was emitting the kind of entertainment and experience that I was looking for, right? I could find that in every place but home, until I came here to Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, right? So 8 years ago, I walked in here with Akila, who is my soror and a fellow alum, right? And so we came in here and was like, ooh, and I was like, girl, this is dope. Like, they serve macaroni and cheese and candy yams. They got chicken on the menu. You know, they got something called the
eight years
chicken
ago,
martini.
8 years ago, you didn't say it was dope.
I did. I did. I did.
did?
I did. I,
Okay.
I
Okay.
did.
All right.
I'm very consistent. Okay. It was them. No, and I mean, what I actually said was truly when I walked into the place, because to know the venue, to understand where we stand and what our space looks like and feels like, I walked in and I felt so at home. I felt so in awe of the space that said to me, if I ever had a place, if I ever had a restaurant, if I ever had a bar, I want to be just like this. When I walked in here, it was warm. There were people who looked like me, not just sitting at the tables, but working, as well. And that to me makes a difference, because where we sit in the city of Boston, we're on that line of gentrification, right? We are in fact the people who kind of set the bar on how it transitions from our neighborhood to the others, right? And so for me, when I walked in here and I saw a man named Darryl, whose name was on the building, in a place that wasn't ours anymore, and I come inside, but I feel comfortable because, but it is ours. I'm so happy because I hadn't been able to been truly engulfed in the culture that was here before me. And so when you talk about the history of Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, you talk about, our humble, rooted beginnings in 1957 when we were known as Bob the Chefs. And so Bob the Chefs, was a man named Robert Morgan who came from Aiken, South Carolina. And if you haven't heard from Aiken,
Hey,
or if you have heard from Aiken,
right up the
there's
road.
a couple of things, to feel about that and know about that, right? And so here we are in the middle of Boston in a neighborhood that was predominantly African American. And you got this gentleman named Robert who's working for a woman named Ma Dixon, who's also giving up her Southern Comfort fare here in a neighborhood that is us, that has our jazz bar, that has our again, our food establishments that we're living in the buildings. And you're now able to kind of find this success here. And so you're serving up traditional Southern Comfort food, but also you're listed as a companion in the Green Book as one of those safe spaces for African Americans to come to and visit here when you come to the city of Boston. That's the kind of tradition that we are celebrating here. And so after Robert takes that on for 30 years, you have a man named Darryl Settles who comes up here, interestingly enough, also from Aiken, South Carolina. You know what I mean? Who'd have thought that? And he comes and takes the business over. And while we can appreciate what someone was able to start as well as maintain, it's so great for us to have this cornerback. I'm from the city of Boston. I am from the neighborhood of Roxbury, where our business is, headquartered and where we operate out of. And so it's a different kind of passion and excitement to be able to bring that back home for real in terms of my ownership here now.
Okay, good. So that was, and I'm gonna stop doing this thing like it's an interview, and that's the problem because, as I said,
it's
we're in here
probably
with our
it.
sister, and we just gonna talk. So that was pretty cool because you covered the history of the restaurant, but what is the historical representation or the historical point of you being the owner?
Yeah.
What is that?
I mean, what's historical about that? For me, I think, just from personally for me is that I'm able to really, I think, actualize all of my ambitions and energies. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that is truly a passion project that happens to be a very viable and suitable career and profession for many, you know what I mean, who have the joy in it. I am the first African-American woman here to, own this business here. I am one of 8 liquor license owners out of 1,100 in the city of Boston.
Okay, stop. No. Don't go over that part too quick. Don't go over that part too quick, right? Because as you just said, this restaurant was formerly listed in the Green Book as a safe space, right? For us.
Yeah.
Fast forward, now we're talking about in this time where diversity and inclusion is a thing, and we want to make sure that people are represented. And just 8 years ago, or How long have you been the owner now?
2 years.
2 years. In the last 2 years, that's even better. In the last 2 years, you are the first Black female owner of a restaurant, and that's in Boston, right?
To be clear, I am the first Black female owner of a fully licensed bar and restaurant in the city of
Fully
Boston.
licensed
Just
bar.
to be clear, yeah.
Right.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. No, I want to get it right.
Yeah.
But that's still, wow. That just happened
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when people think about Black ownership and diversity and inclusion, that's something that's hard for them to fathom.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in you trying to become this owner, right, and get this full-fledged liquor license, what was the pushback? What was the red tape that you had to go through to do that?
I think the pushback, I don't know if there was I can't confirm that there was a whole lot of pushback, as more so as there was such a cloth of mystic around kind of like the process, right? They've got what they put on the site and they tell you, what steps to kind of, check off, but to really, feel welcome in that space, it's not necessarily super opening, it's just super welcoming or anything like that. So for me, I think, and it was a woman thing, and it was more so just an access thing. The biggest access here in the city of Boston is at that point in time was the cost of a liquor license. Cost of liquor license, as well as being collateralized and somebody believing that your plan is going to be viable for you to be successful. I often talked about in the last few months, but in the last year as well, how, African Americans are typically underbanked. And, you can go ahead and get those quick loans, but no one is really willing to sit down and work with you and see your vision on a business that takes a little bit more than that. It needs to be SBA backed, etc. And so for me, in general, be you a man or a woman, you typically, that was the struggle. That was the biggest struggle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Man, you guys don't want to jump in and participate this week?
Yo, you was doing such a good job. I'm gonna lie, man.
Okay.
Like there's been that like you were really. I literally sat here for a moment, like, dang, we might have to change this to the Carol show. Like I feel a little like, yo, I mean, you were killing it though. Like you were, it was good. So there was nothing to add currently. I mean, Jesus.
Right.
It was like tennis. You were smooth. You were playing tennis.
Yeah.
Y'all were hitting it back and forth.
And not only that, these answered the questions so eloquently and taking it up like, oh wow,
As to be expected, though.
This is amazing. Like, yo, I brought out the popcorn, cuz.
I got more questions. I was just giving y'all an opportunity to let y'all know it was okay.
Man, carry on, brother. Carry on.
Yes.
I got some answers. So when you think about this and you think about your commitment to the community and coming back home, and thinking about the next step of the future, when you think about other business owners that may be listening to this or in their own town or city, when you talk about that safe space, that feeling of comfort you had when you enter there and then have opportunity, what do you believe is the next steps that current entrepreneurs, successful people need to do in order to help the next generation? Because again, you just talked about access, right? And the cloth over the process. What do we need to do to help other individuals through that? Because it's almost like that hand down to pull somebody else up. So what does that mean for you, and what do you see? How do you see yourself contributing in that local area or nationally or whatever the case may be? Because I know you're going international, girl, so I ain't worried about that.
So, for me, it's Sankofa, right? Real simple, to reach back and to bring forward. And that's definitely a part of who we are. And so it starts with who we hire, for the neighborhood that we live in. We want our neighbors to be a part of the fabric of how we, treat our guests with hospitality, right? And so it starts with who we hire. It starts with the kind of volunteer service that I, commit myself to. Currently, I work with the Roxbury YMCA, and that's because Roxbury is a neighborhood I grew up in, and I remember being a big-headed kid running to the YMCA, getting my swim lessons on, or going for camp, or doing my GIMP, or even being a counselor, for some of the kids there too, right? So that's like near and dear to my heart. So I make sure that I give my service there as well. When I think about people who request donations from us, we fulfill those at a rapid pace, because we want them to know that we support those different businesses, right? So that's also a part of something that we do, and that's a part of our commitment to the community. And so for us, that's all of a matter of exposure. A lot of times people think that businesses like ours may not be able to, be accessible. And I do my best to be accessible, because I live and I walk and I go through here every day. And so the people that are my customers are also people I may go to church with, or see at the car wash, or, also be in the line, or sitting at a table with somebody, across from someone. So, this is something that it's natural. It's natural for us. You don't got to fake this part,
Big facts.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody in your family that was ever a restaurant owner, or, even well, I know you've had people in your family that were business owners, but let's stick to restaurant owner.
Yeah. I found out recently that my biological father, who I knew had a couple of different businesses, also had a restaurant. And not only did have a restaurant, the restaurant was, in fact, at the opposite corner of my current restaurant.
Wow.
So I found that out recently. I found that out while my brother, who we shared the same father, was working in the kitchen with me, because during COVID, I was in the kitchen. So I was back there, making the mac, the greens and stuff like that.
No, that's right.
You got to do what you got to do.
Hey, I know that's right.
And so while I'm back there, one day my brother's like, I can try to help you. I can help you do something. I was like, all right, cool. I don't know what he can do though. You know what I mean? I asked one of my managers who's been here, and I'm like, what can he do? Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I like a person who's trying to help, but it's almost like your mama trying to say, I'll help you do something, baby. No, you ain't. You gonna help me do this one thing. This is what
Exactly. We've
right?
all been there.
So then
How do you turn this computer on?
Okay. So then I found myself in the kitchen one day doing my thing, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, bring up the cheese, or, help me clean this chicken, right? So I got that. And I said, hey, can you cut up some vegetables for me, because I need to, make this dirty rice or whatever. And next thing you know, I heard a particular chop sound. And if you will, you see, all right, I see your face. See your face, right? Okay, you're like,
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, I was like, what? And then I heard, I was like, hey. I said, you got chopping skills? That's something different. And that's when he got to know a little bit more about, and it's so great. It's such a, a beauty. I never thought about it. I had a couple of, and this is a bit of a tangent, but like real quick, I had a friend who, when I was getting to this point of trying to have this ownership, because, we talk about a hurdle for me to get here. The hurdle for me to get here was absolutely capital, right? And that's a different conversation. You can come back to that piece. But he said to me, you're like a mom and pop shop, you're like a family business. And I was like, huh? You know what I mean? Like, truth be told, my brother that I share the same mother with, and we grew up in the same household, his business was customer service, but it wasn't food hospitality, right? So there's a different piece in what he knows and can bring to the table. And then I find out that my, again, half brother here, Jimmy, with the has got this experience in the kitchen, and he lets me know that my dad had the restaurant down the street, that he had to learn that stuff from, firsthand. And I'm trying to figure out where I get it from, because my mama, she cool. She learned, she can make a couple of dishes, and not to even underestimate, when I say a couple of dishes, she can cook, right? But at the same time, she ain't got this like in the kitchen, like she can't do that. You know what I mean? She ain't got that stamina, right? So I'm wondering where I get it from. And when I talk about this process in the last 2 years, unveiling so many things to me and letting me know that, Yeah, this is a mom and pop shop. This is a family business, and some of the best family businesses become your Wendy's and your Walmarts and your, you know what I mean. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it right now, and wanting to get to that space and that spirit. But that's my little tangent.
So funny, I asked that question not because where I wanted to go was, and we found out that it's just in your DNA, right? Your DNA is not your DNA is right with the knife, right? So everybody knows the sound that we're talking about. Like
Yeah.
if you don't, that means that you don't have it, and you
Right.
don't have anybody around you that can do it.
I'm in the kitchen while I'm in.
Right.
Right. But what I was trying to establish was that you didn't have a blueprint
Yeah.
to get into this business, right? And you had to do some research, and you've always been good at leveraging people and learning by watching. What did you immerse yourself into to figure out that, yes, I could do this?
I had to actually not be scared. I had to actually tell myself to not be afraid of, kind of betting on yourself. And when I talk about, presenting myself as the brand, as the job, people didn't know that they needed me until I presented myself and said, hey, you need me, in fact. And so that's how I got to Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen. I came in here, I was celebrating my birthday, but I was like, I just came from a place where I was teaching media to people and teaching them how to interact with social media. That was new, to folks. And I'm teaching courses on it, right? And so I said, hey, Darryl, you need social media help. You need someone to do your marketing, just that. Not no design or nothing. Like, I just want to focus on your social media marketing. You don't know anything about that landscape, and I know a lot about that landscape. And I sold myself to the business and to that current owner. From that relationship, that was me betting on me, saying, hey, listen, I'm just going to have him pitch it. And I had a couple of businesses on my list that say, I'm going to pitch this to. And, and I picked up those contracts. And so from that point, I had the opportunity where they're like, hey, well, we didn't realize that you had this many skill sets. I mean, you pitched yourself as this business, but when we look at your resume, you did X, Y, and Z. We need a manager right now. Would you mind taking us on as also a manager? So keep your marketing contract, but why don't you take this manager job too? Well, of course, because I like to work. I don't mind that. You know what I mean? Go ahead, let's get that money, right? So that's what we did then too, right? And then from there, it was just growth and like you said, Carol, kind of being observational. Like I'm gonna study. I'm gonna go ahead and do my job, but while I'm here, I'm going ahead and get that. I'm gonna study. And what a lot of people don't know is that prior to coming to the business, when I first came, it was as a customer. When I next came and really engaged with the business, I was in fact working at Boston Neighborhood Network. And the present owner at that point in time, Darryl, he called up the business, our business, or submitted an inquiry because he wanted us to cover an event. Well, I was the marketing director and I approved all the event coverage. And so I'm like, sure, let's for this event. So I come down here and see that there's a man named Darryl who looks just like me, in terms of, he looked like me, I can relate to him. And he's got this business. I meet him and I say to him, hey, will you be my mentor? Right. And I asked him to be my mentor, and I just take the opportunity. And I'll tell y'all this is the first time I've told this story in a broad
exclusive
audience.
On the 13th floor.
So understand that this is exclusive. I only share this with, again, a very small circle who knows this part of the story. I asked him if he'll be my mentor, and he looks me square in the eye, and he's like, no. He's like, no, I can't do that. He's like, I can't be your mentor. He's like, I don't have the time for that. He doesn't know me from anything. He didn't give me an opportunity to even pitch more and say, hey, like, I don't really require a lot of time. I just kind of want to watch and study you. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty good learner. I know that if I just watched and studied you, I could probably pick up some pieces of the game that kind of can get me to this goal of having a place like yours one day, but he flat out turned me down, and that was cool. Because 2 years later, I came back and I pitched my services as social media marketing, and he hired me, and he didn't even remember who I was. So he hired me, and I'm working with him. And 6 months down the line, I finally say to him, hey, by the way, couple years ago, I asked you to be my mentor. You turned me down. He was like, I did? You did? I don't even know. I was like, I know you don't remember me. I said, now that I sat here and worked for you all this time and you're impressed and you promoted me and you've made me general manager, et cetera, like that. And, you know, I've gotten a chance to kind of prove to you that, hey, if you took me on as a mentee, it would have been a great job. But now you've hired me and are almost paying me to be your mentee. So that works out for me too. Right. So, I mean, to me, it's that's kind of how I, you know, not just end up here, but I think it's a succession of, you know, not kind of letting down what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I think it's extremely dope. And I would have said that 8 years ago. That you the persistence, but also the allowing something. I am so passionate about people being able to find things they're passionate about and letting that kind of lead where they go, and having it be from just I was just looking for a place that I felt comfortable hanging out, that I could feel comfortable hanging out, that led to where it's at, that you own that place. Not only is that an amazing story, but it's just it just speaks directly to how you should live life. That ability to you've utilized all of your skills and everything that came to that point, and then being able to still become that mentee, but actually do it in a paid way was just like the icing on the cake. So I just really hope to impose that on our listeners and everybody else, that, you know, that travel position and that point of being able to find that passion in any way possible. Like it's awesome, the little baby steps you took of execution, and to be able to turn around and hey, you know, 2 years ago you didn't even want to talk to me, and now it's like, look, now you think I'm, you know, you understand how valuable I am for the whole, you know, the whole business. It's just a really dope story. Very proud of you, sis.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in there and say, but Fresh stole the entire thing, which is fine. But the ability to humble yourself is what's a lost art, because most people would have taken that and said, well, I'm not gonna be a manager. I have my college degree. I've done this. I'm gonna come here up top. But in the restaurant business, people don't understand is that in order for you to be the best owner or GM, you have to understand what they do every single day. And that foundation you built made you who you are now. And you can now look back and train those and understand the business as a whole, and which makes your business more profitable, because you're not selected being caught out of anything, because you know what's expected of your workers, you know what's expected of your team. And that by itself is commendable. And those who are listening, just remember that if you're running a business or you're starting your business, you got to know how the business works from the opening of a door to the closing of a door. If you don't know that, you're fooling yourself.
Another piece, no is yes to another question, because many people would have taken him saying, hey, I don't have the time for you, as, all right, I'm never going to be concerned about talking to this guy ever again. Like, I may still go to the establishment, but I'm really going to more so take it as a slap in the face, and you know, I'm going to get my feelings about it and never really look for another opportunity. And to have it not only come around, but to, you know, take such, you know, capitalize on it in the way that you've done, it's just awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
I guess I'll jump back in here now. Thank you all.
You can, but I want to know what's next. My next step is what's the next step? We got one. How are we going to turn this one to enterprise?
Well, hold on. Before we go to one, let's talk about COVID. What has the impact been?
Dark cloud comes down.
Exactly. I mean, and especially not only that, with it being, this is just going into year 2. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that was quite a roller coaster of a ride of, you know, accomplishment, and then like what is going on. So talk us through some of that.
Yeah,
I'll go back
I mean,
on mute.
you know, you want.
It's
You
back to
know,
the
I think it's. I think it's you know, I mean, it was a bit of devastation, you know, when it first happened. And I think at the end of the day, COVID really just forced everyone to be creative. If you wanted to survive, you had to figure it out. You had to figure it out quickly. And that's what we've been doing. And so at the end of the day, you know, it was tough. We had to pull into positions. You know, people did rally in order to make the business work. We lost over 90% of our workforce. And so, you know, there's a loss of workforce, a loss of morale on both ends of it. It's hard to be, you know, an owner and know that you can't help the families that you've learned to love. You know what I mean? And like have, you know, build those ties with. And so all those things happen, but I think that we've been able to, again, just be creative and absolutely resilient and say, we're going to do this quickly as best as we can and learn as we go. And that's what we've done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Resiliency and creativity, ladies and gentlemen, in these times of COVID and quarantine, resiliency and creativity, allow it to be your beacon.
How did the community up there like support rally behind you? I know, you reach out to them, you say, hey, we're still here. You're doing the media posts for things. I see them all. I follow you, so I see them. But how did you get the community to say, hey, like support local, which is a big deal now, and get it going and not get robbed from DoorDash or Uber Eats and all those other guys who take 20% off top?
Yeah. I mean, we're still getting robbed by Uber Eats and Grubhub. I can't lie. So let's start there. But in terms of the community, you know, they were willing to help. They let it be known that they were willing to help. And, you know, we made ourselves accessible for them. So if it was through Uber Eats or Grubhub, or if it was through ordering through us directly and stopping by, our community like showed up and showed out. As a collective, we formed the Boston Black Hospitality Coalition, where we, you know, it was initially the 5 of at least 8 of the Black-owned liquor licenses here in the city of Boston that got together to really focus on what our survival rate was going to be and how we can, you know, make sure that we're going to be here through COVID. And so that was one of the things that we did. And you know, it's been, you know, we've been doing all right so far. That's it.
keep on pushing.
I'm like, that's it.
No, that is.
Like,
I'm about to say,
what else can I say?
That's perfect. That's good.
It's like, you know, I mean, truly, it's you set a plan and you hope that it's going to be, you know, what you try to plan out, and every day, and at some point in time in the middle of it, it was every hour, you know what I mean, between your governor letting out a statement and the mayor letting out a statement that conflicted with the governor, and you wondering if they got each other's numbers because what they're saying is totally different. And you're like, how am I supposed to operate with this? It's like, what am I doing here? But when I tell you, like I said, the community showed up and showed out, and they showed us ways to get more support, and that they wanted us to be here through this moment. So for sure.
That's beautiful.
It should
Run it back, Art. What was your initial before I cut you off with COVID?
Oh, I was just talking, now we're in this process of rebuilding and you're kind of getting the flow back, and you know, COVID's still there, but you're opening up slowly now, able to serve in a restaurant. Hopefully Boston allows you guys to actually eat inside. I've been spoiled here in Atlanta where there's just like no rules, just like fair for all, which is great.
There's no rules.
They're wearing masks. They're wearing masks, but it's like you can literally, it's like 95% occupancy. It's crazy. Kind of awesome, but crazy. So as you get back to the process, have we started thinking about that next step? Like, how are we turning Darryl's Corner into just from 1 to 2 to franchise to retirement?
Is it franchise or is it merchandise? Is it create that, you know what I mean? That staple, you know what I mean? Where it's like, yo, we make a ton off of t-shirts and cups and you know what I mean? Random, like we are just that place. What is the idea?
Yeah. So one of the things that makes us really unique, but and very important here in the city of Boston, is that we offer live music. And so, you know, a major third piece of who we are, Friends, Food, and Music, comes from filtering our walls with local talent, you know what I mean? Local talent who have gone on to get Grammy nominations and awards, etc., who have been regular band members here, and so that's a piece of who we are. So when you think about us replicating, it's less of whatever this venue's name is. It's more of, our hospitality company, Bar and Kitchen Hospitality, and what the brand that we're bringing to the table. We're bringing you comfort food that's familiar, that is culturally rich, and that, has this awesome soundtrack of, what we've been doing through the ages. And so that's what you should think about when you think about our venue, and how we're going to replicate. And prior to this, prior to the COVID period, we were looking at other venues. We had our sights set on, different areas in Boston, as well as, exploring neighborhoods like Atlanta, like some areas in Chicago, etc. So it's bigger than this city. But what we're doing is we're bringing a particular experience. You know what I mean? You're going to walk in, you're going to be like, dang, this feels like home. And when you sit down and you look at the menu, you're going to be like, dang, that looks really familiar and it smells really good. And oh, wow, you got something interesting on there as well. And then when you see what we bring forth to you in terms of our service, but also our entertainment, it's going to take you back. It's going to be that renaissance for us of, Black culture and a night out. And so that's what Darryl's is on a regular basis. And that's what we want to see replicated.
That's super dope.
Anybody feel like Darryl's is like Boston's version of like the place they used to go to on New York Undercover?
Right.
And also Nipsey's on Martin. Like I get all of that. Yeah, I get all
right.
of that.
Like just getting that vibe, right? It just sounds like someplace like I'm ready to go. Like, come on, COVID.
Yeah, I'm extremely upset. I have not taken the opportunity yet, and as soon as I'm COVID comfortable, trust, I'm making that move.
Ladies and gentlemen, we in the next year we will have an episode that will be live.
We are going to join her exactly where she sits.
Right.
Bring this thing full circle, baby.
We're going to put it out there in the universe now and make it happen. Nia, look, we definitely want to thank you for coming and hanging out with your big bros.
This is so cool.
I realized what the energy was in the beginning. It was, we had our sister on here, and we know that when it's over and we sign off, she'll give us feedback on how we did.
Yep.
Right. And it's just thinking about that knowing that that's who she is. She's like, you know what? That was cute what y'all did. But so I think that was the energy that was coming out at first, because normally people come on here and we're like, man, whatever. You're guests, you're not going to judge us, whatever. But she actually
y'all think I'm judging y'all?
She knows
it's not
the best
judging.
parts of us.
No, you are doing what
those cuts will come.
Somebody who loves us should do. You know what I mean? Let us know the real deal and not just be like, oh man, because you guys are doing something, that means, here's some graham crackers and applesauce.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, let me tell you what, I had a good time. Like I love, this is what I love, you know what I mean? And so I think, you know what it is, Carol, if you want to hear some feedback, and I don't know if you're cutting me off at this point in time and this is just going to be B-roll.
No, I haven't. I guess it's just going to be in the show. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this going to be a part of the show?
Let
I'm so
know.
sorry.
It's okay.
Let everyone know.
I can wait.
Yeah, no, this is going to be off record.
See, I told y'all.
He said that.
I told y'all. I told y'all this was gonna happen.
I'll wait.
I told y'all. See, and I knew it. I knew it from the time I did the intro. I knew where we were going. I knew we would end up in this place. Faison, I'm coming you from Faison's Corner, man. What you got? Art's Corner.
Man, I think that everyone's gotten a lot of this episode. You got humble beginnings. You got the feeling to drive and to not give up. You got the ability to be shamed and told no, and then come back and say, hey, not hold a grudge, but say, hey, it's okay. I remember working with you and now I'm here. And that person thinks back, go, man, what an opportunity missed. It just shows you, and it shows everybody the importance that you have to make sure you are persistent. persistence in all ways, and not just by going back to school, not just by applying for things, but knowing your true value for yourself and the persistence to continue moving forward and pushing yourself. And with that, the moon is just the beginning. So just stay focused on what the goal is and do your thing, man. Do your thing. Do your thing.
All right. All right. Before I close this thing out, Nia, where can people find Darryl's Corner on social media?
You can see us at DCBK Boston. That's on Instagram and Facebook. And if you can go to dcbkboston.com, that's our website. Check out our menu, our entertainment lineup, our hours, etc. And if you want to find me, I'm at Miss Nia Grace on Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, you can get this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Vimeo. You can also get us on YouTube. You can get us on Anchor. You can get us on iHeartRadio. Did I leave anybody out? You can get us on Spotify, the same one I always leave out, Spotify. You get us on all those platforms. We would love to hear your comments. We would love for you to subscribe.
Don't forget to tickle that subscribe button.
Yeah, tickle that subscribe button and let us know what you thought about this episode. We want to continue to bring you the content that you want, the content that you need. And in closing, what I would say is there's a lot of times that we're so distracted by things that are going on that we don't recognize when we get into a space that is our home, that is for us. And in talking to Nia today, there's 3 things she did. She recognized when she got into that space and she saw something that was, if I was ever going to do something, this would be it. She then went out and recruited, and listen to what I'm saying, she recruited people that she could learn from. A lot of times we're out there thinking that we're letting people recruit us, but if you're out there and you're intentional, you're going to recruit the people that are going to show you and help you along the way for that thing that you're trying to get, that is that home feeling, that is that thing that, man, this is in my blood, this is in my DNA, and she didn't even know it at the time. And then the last thing would be, you need to realize when you're ready, right? So she said that she went, and she was celebrating her birthday, and that actually wasn't it at all. She was actually celebrating that she had confirmed it was time for her to move towards ownership, right? It felt like it was a birthday celebration, but no, I think that was the moment that it clicked and was like, yep, time to do this, right? And she was staking her claim. So look, I love it. Thank you all for joining, and we will catch you all next week. Thank you for joining us on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best,
But then you,
Amazing.
It's the 13th floor, y'all.